Hey guys, Gabe with the Minnesota Airsoft Association with another one of our Getting to Know Your Local Field video series for Big Lake Tactical Wargames in Big Lake, Minnesota. As a reminder what these videos are for, this is a high-level view of the field, more the amenities and the flow, how you check in, where you park, what's available at the field, more so than play. Maybe we'll do in the future, we'll do more like here's the actual on field, what the field looks like. But right now, this is all about your first time going to a field, trying to figure out where to go. For you parents, maybe bringing your kids for the first time, or you experienced players who haven't been to this field before and just want to know what is different about the field, where to park, when to show up, where to go. Again, I will use the word flow a lot because it's important. Where do you go? How does it operate? How can I have the best experience of just getting ready to play before I go on the field? That's what these videos are for. A little history about Big Lake Tactical. Big Lake Tactical Wargames is the largest airsoft dedicated field in Minnesota. It's also the oldest. It's been around since 2007, so 19 years as of 2026. And the playable land is 55 acres playable. And I say that because this is private property where there's a residence. There's some area that is not in play for other reasons. And then there's some area that's like marshland, swampy, so not playable. But like the actual property is larger than 55, but 55 is what you're going to play. The owner of the field, Travis, is an experienced airsoft player and a reenactor. He has been in... I can't tell you. I didn't ask him how long he's been in the sport/hobby of airsoft, but I can tell you that the MAA has been around for 26 years. When we were a private organization, we're now a nonprofit, but he was a member from way back. We used to run, the MAA used to run events, maybe, I don't know, for 5 years or so. We ran events there, larger games. So it is another, I keep on saying cornerstones, and now we're at 4 fields. So it is another well-known, well-established field in Minnesota. Let's talk about the getting to know you format. I'm going to talk about, again, high-level basics: parking, staging, check-in, chrono, amenities, the high points, right? What is it like to, again, be prepared, show up your first time, where do you go? Let's just get into it. I mentioned this is private property in Big Lake. It's rural. So when you turn into, Google Maps is accurate, so trust Google Maps. When you turn onto the property, you're on a gravel road. You're in the country on a gravel road. It's not very long, but you're going to be on a gravel road. Be aware of that. Parking situation. Parking at Big Lake is pockets or zones. And when I say that, I mean the field started off small, and as it has grown, they've just had to expand areas for different things. Parking being the primary one. So there is a main parking area that if you watch our videos, you'll see there's a main area that holds 30 to 40 cars. It is in open sunlight, like there's no trees in that area. There's an overflow parking area on a grassy area, and because it's actually very well kept, that is overflow. They don't want you to permanently park there simply because it's nice. It's well groomed, but it is a place to go. That is shaded, and then they actually have an area that's kind of up above where the other parking lot is, and that's just how the land actually has some elevation to it. There's an upper deck parking lot, which is also quite expansive, probably holds another 30-ish, 20-ish, 30-ish cars, and it's also probably the preferred area for people who are camping. I will say the main lot, people will bring small pop-ups, but mostly that's for cars. The small grassy area that I mentioned, the first overflow parking, the grassy area, that probably can hold 20 cars if they park carefully. Like any other location, you're parking outside. It's not a traditional paved parking lot. There's no lines. So when you park at Big Lake or any field, but Big Lake, don't park like a jerk. Don't park at an angle. Don't, kind of look at where everyone else is parking and don't, park perpendicular to them. Don't be a jerk, right? When everyone parks properly, they can put more cars in. When not, or when people don't, then people have to park down the road, which is not ideal, because then the road isn't big enough for cars going both ways most of the time. So when you're going and parking, just be mindful of that. Be mindful of the other players. And you might be asked to move. I was recently at a game that had 120 players, and I was part of staff. And at some point, pretty early on, we just decided we were going to have people telling people where to park and people moving. And everyone was cool about it. Everything worked out great. We did get to a point where we're like, oh, you have to drive through these 3 trees to get to the next parking area. That was kind of bad planning on our part. Lesson learned. But don't always expect there to be someone to direct you. So just kind of be watching, and go, hey, I could park here. Am I going to be forced to move, or am I going to block people, or am I in such a bad position that other people aren't going to be able to park around me? Be aware of that. Also for parking, I'll say there's a residence. I think I mentioned it. There's a residence on property. Don't park in front of the residence or their buildings. Pretty much makes sense. And at some point they will maybe allow it, but people live here. So right near the parking, right near the check-in, right near the staging, there is a residence that people live there. And it's not a huge group of people, but it doesn't matter. Always save spots for them. I mentioned this in my videos very specifically. Just be mindful of that when parking. And other than the residence, I'll just say that's every other field. Just don't be a jackass when you're parking. Don't take up more room than you need. Let's talk staging. Staging at Big Lake Tactical is like some other fields. They do have a small communal area, which is 4 picnic tables. Those picnic tables get full very quickly and early. I've seen a lot of people hang out there, like 10 people per picnic table with all their cases and their gear and their coolers, but it gets real crowded real fast. So a lot of players stage from their cars. This is not unusual. Of the 4 fields we've talked about so far, 2 have been you got to pick up all your stuff and bring it to a staging area, and 2, a lot of people stage from their cars. This is another. Big Lake is one of those. So if you don't know what that means, it means a lot of people just tailgate out of their vehicles. They bring coolers, they bring chairs, they bring tables, they bring easy ups maybe. As we were talking about parking, don't be a jerk. When you're staging, try not to take too much area. Like if you pull in your car, then put a pop-up tent right behind it, then no one can get around you and park behind you or near you or go around you. So be aware of that. But staging from vehicles is very common behavior at Big Lake Tactical. The owner I know wants to expand this. He just hasn't had a need yet. Like having 1 or 2 games a year that are huge doesn't merit him buying 2 more picnic tables. But if he gets consistently large numbers, or if you as players or people who show up to the field give feedback, that is something he's going to consider. But just be aware of the limited communal space for staging, and then staging out of your cars. I'm going to talk about amenities after, but I want to plant the seed now, and we'll get into it, is to be self-sufficient. Big Lake Tactical is a field where they don't have a lot of extra amenities for you. So be prepared for that. Be self-sufficient. Check in, and this is where it starts. So check in. I believe they have printable waiver, like you can download and print a waiver and bring it in, but they have only paper waivers. There's no digital online waivers. So when you check in at Big Lake Tactical, there is a white garage that has been converted to be their main check-in office storage area. You will walk up there. They have one central waiver that you'll read and then you'll sign a waiver, or if you bring your own, for you parents, there you have to sign for your minor, for your under 18. You can't just drop them off. You have to go up and you have to do that process. For payments, I believe they accept Venmo and PayPal, but no credit card reader. So cash or some kind of digital online payment method. But cash is always going to be king. I'll just say that. They have rentals and they have a compressor for HPA. Those are both in the check-in building. Their rental fleet, let's call it's under 20. But they have mags, they have masks. So if you are bringing a birthday party or something, they can totally kit you out. But they are limited. So on a busy open session day, if you are relying on a rental, contact the field. Contact the field and say, I am reserving a rental, just so they know. Because if not, it's just first come, first serve. And in those situations where maybe there's a birthday party of 6 people or 10 people, well, now maybe there's only a handful of rentals left. So make sure you know that. As far as other sales in the check-in building, very limited. I think they have some dead rags. And then they have rental stuff and borrow stuff. And when I say borrow, I mean they have a bunch of uniforms. And I think those are available to be borrowed for use if people need them or want them. But they don't have a lot of other stuff there for sale. So going back to what I just said a couple minutes ago about being self-sufficient, plan for that. Here's the addendum to that. For sales, they have contracted with Airsoft Armory and Op4 Airsoft to do alternating events, alternating weekends, to have sales. So sometimes Airsoft Armory will be there with their trailer. Sometimes Op4 Airsoft will be there with their trailer and just selling BBs and gas and guns and, have basic things for you to look at. They're not there every weekend. There's not a posted schedule that I'm aware of. I know usually if there's larger events, the vendors will say, we'll be at this event. So be watchful for that. If you're a type of player who just plans to show up at a field, then you get what you get. So don't expect there to be sales of supplies there any given weekend. If you want to know, again, check in with the field. Contact the field and say, hey, is anyone going to be selling BBs, gas, and guns this weekend? If not, plan on stopping at one of the stores or somewhere else en route to Big Lake Tactical to pick up those supplies. Same vein, there's no food or water or drinks, no running water at Big Lake Tactical. So bring those supplies. Most people will pass through the town of Big Lake on the way to Big Lake Tactical Wargames. There's a grocery store, there's gas stations, 7 minutes, again, very close to the field, relatively speaking. So pick up your supplies before you go. That is just the way of it. I don't think they don't have a pizza oven. I do know that on hot days he will buy a couple cases of water, but that's more like emergency water for people who have forgotten it. And here's where this isn't about the field. This is about you, the players. Some of you players are just woefully underprepared when you go to fields, going, oh, I expected there to be stuff here. And this is especially prevalent with the kids who are getting dropped off. They just bring their guns and their gear. So here's my notice to you parents as it relates to Big Lake Tactical, but every other event or field as well, send them with something. Send them with a small cooler. Send them with a small bag, a bag from the gas station with a couple bottles of water and some Snickers in it. There is nothing available on field or at the check-in area field for you to buy. Just know that right from the start. Basic safety rules and staging are all the same. Barrel blockers, mags out of guns, no dry firing. The chrono area is behind the field entrance, so there's not a dedicated chrono area. When you go to chrono, you'll actually be going to the main field entry, so everybody knows where it is. It's very easy to find. And everything funnels. Like the road in goes to the parking lot, which goes to the check-in, which goes to the road to the field where the chrono is. So like there's a very concentrated funnel going all to where you need to be to get fully prepared to play for the day. When you enter the fields, again, standard netting. On the left, they have a table set up for chrono, nothing fancy. Usually just one chrono. When it gets busy, they'll add more. I was at an event where I brought chrono, so I think we had 4 running, but that was a game with like 120 people. So Lot going on there. They have these gun racks. So on field, when you're on field, coming off field, whatever, you put your gun in a rack so you don't have to bring it back on into the staging area, or maybe you're going out, you forget something, you don't have to barrel block, take your mag out, unload, all that stuff. You can just put it in the rack, go do what you need to in staging, and come back. So pretty nice, but also pretty simple. And when I say simple, that is probably a better word. I've been thinking of the right word to describe my overall summary of Big Lake Tactical's amenities, and the first word I came up with, and it's still true, is it's not as polished. It is a player's field. They expect you to be self-sufficient. There's not a lot of extra bells and whistles. At Big Lake Tactical Wargames. I didn't mention, so I mentioned, food, water, snacks, extra supplies. I didn't mention bathrooms. Bathrooms are one of my big things. I need a good bathroom, or I'm going to leave and go to a gas station, or and sometimes if that's farther away, I'm just leaving the field. So, this is one of those things. The bathroom situation at Big Lake Tactical has been, I'll just say, a sore point for the last couple of years. Travis this year has heard your feedback, and he bought a Porta-John, he has service contracted a Porta-John. So there is a Porta-John that is regularly cleaned and serviced at the field. He also had an outhouse previously. That outhouse was rough. I'm just going to say it. Everybody knows it. It was rough. He rebuilt, he reinforced, and then cleaned up that outhouse. And it looks, from the outside doesn't look new, but from the inside it looks new. As we have said at some other fields that have had outhouses or even Porta-Johns, the proper outhouse is probably for standing, and the Porta-John is more for sitting. Now, if quite literally in a pinch, anywhere you have to go, but that's how I would treat it. And I will go one step further to say Travis has added the Porta-John because of your feedback, and he has rebuilt his outhouse based on your feedback. Treat it well. These are amenities you want to continue using for this season and future seasons. So don't be gross. Don't break stuff. Don't spill stuff. Don't throw trash in the Porta-John. And I say that because I see it. I've seen it. I see it all the time. I see it at national games. People can just be really disgusting pigs. Don't abuse the amenities that the fields are providing. They are providing it. Because you do it, and it really just takes it shows it only takes one person to ruin it, but it's so disrespectful. And it really affects who shows up to that field. I know there were some players who flat out said, "Hey, we want a Porta-John, or we're just not coming back." Again, Travis heard that and was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Here's a Porta-John." If he needs more, let him know he needs more. Similarly to the staging area, Travis is a guy who has put the money that he makes in that field back into the actual playable field. In these videos, I don't get into the fields that much, but Big Lake Tactical has trenches, and they have a little city. The city is something he has built. It's like a old European village type feel. He's already got another area measured out for another building, because that's a cool thing. That's a cool feature on field that people want to play on. So that's where more money is concentrated. Everybody only has so big a budget a year. What are they going to concentrate on? I am a person who enjoys features. And when I say that, I'm meaning off-field features, because I'm an old man who, sometimes I'm going to rest. And when I want to rest, I'd like some shade, and I'd like to go to a bathroom where I'm not, I don't need a tetanus shot. So if there are things that you think a field needs, give constructive feedback to those fields in a way that is useful to them, so they know, okay, I'll hold off on building that because I need to add something else to the staging area. So Big Lake Tactical Wargames, established field, well-known, pretty solid player base. 50 players is pretty average, I'd say, on a regular day. Bigger games, again, I was at a game just last weekend that had 120. That was one of his. It was being run by someone else, but it was hosted there. It was one of his monthly large games. Big Lake Tactical, like most other fields, have a once a month large game. And then if there are other events run by other game organizers, that might be the additional bigger games per weekend. But average open session, let's call it 40 to 50 players. Bigger games, 80 to 100. You're starting to see some of those games get over 100. I know Travis is watching that very carefully, because once that average attendance number starts to peak up into a higher zone, he knows he's going to have to put more focus onto his staging area and his basic amenities. Everything's schedule wise. It's on. His digital presence isn't super expansive, so go to Facebook. He does promote. Travis does promote his games pretty much the week before. He does have a printed schedule that he does have a copy online, again, on his Facebook page. Rules. He does have a website, and his rules are on it. Little dated, but he does have an online presence. It's just not as polished, because mostly it's done through Facebook and through individual events. That's all I really got. Again, Big Lake Tactical is an established field in Minnesota, and it is something you should experience. All fields. I've been saying it every time I get a chance. If you have a favorite field, great. If you have a field that's 5 minutes from your house and that's why you go to it, cool. I get it. I understand convenience. But every field has something special to offer, and you should experience it. As it relates to Big Lake, the field is the real gem, and I think people should play it. I would go to one of their bigger games, because I think the themed games are a little more interesting. But again, that's a personal opinion, so I don't want to taint the rest of the video with my opinions on that. But get out there and play at different locations. Big Lake is one of them. If you find these videos useful, please let us know. If you have more questions, if you want us to do follow-up videos, if there's something you think we missed, please let us know, and we'll do more. Our intention for these videos is, again, for you, the players, you, the community, to understand what's available to you. When other fields open, and there are more fields opening, we will go to those fields and do the same thing. Because you shouldn't, again, I just said it. What's out there for you? And we hope you play them all. Gabe from the Minnesota Airsoft Association. We'll see you out on the fields.